a special volunteer. You'll see in Lourdes, this is another phenomenon there that's very powerful. With every sick person, you have at least one, sometimes two, volunteers who will accompany them, take them wherever they want to go, like their special helper while they're in Lourdes. And these people volunteer to do this several months at a time, a year at a time. There's 70,000 sick people who visit Lourdes every year, and at least 70,000 volunteers. Very interesting. So, a hospitaler told Father, take this road. I came before a patient lying on her stretcher. There was black blood running from her nose and mouth. 2 or 3 times I said to her, Mademoiselle, do you wish to take communion? She didn't answer. A hospitaler opened John's mouth with a spoon, and I put a small piece of the host on her tongue. I closed John's mouth myself. And then, I must stress this, instantly, and I mean instantly, for that is what makes a Lourdes cure like those recorded in the Gospel, John opened her eyes, looked at me, and said, where am I? I answered, Mademoiselle, you're in Lourdes. For Jean had been in a coma throughout the months of July, August, September, and October. She had not slept properly for 6 years and could not even eat water. When she left, Rene, the dean of the faculty, Professor McKay, who was treating her, had said, put a coffin in the luggage van. Jean won't make it past Nantes. She won't even make it to Lourdes, is what the doctor said. Now here's Jean herself. I don't remember the communion at all, of course. All I remember is the grotto, where I was lying on the stretcher. And when I got there, it was through someone. It was as though someone was taking me by my hands, by my arms, to sit me up. I turned around to look. I couldn't see anyone. I turned back toward the grotto, and I had that same feeling again. 2 invisible hands placed on my stomach. In those days, when there were two stages in a cure, it was always the first one that counted, which is why my cure has always been considered as a Eucharistic miracle. If the Eucharist had been no more than a symbol, do you really think I have been cured? Now, Father, look at. When Jean realized that the swelling in her stomach had gone down, she went back to St. Fray's Hospital. There are a number of hospitals where the sick can stay when they go to Lourdes, so they can stay a while. To the amazement of everyone, including the doctor, she sat up in bed. How do you feel? The doctor asked. Not bad, she replied. Then started to yell, I'm hungry. So they brought her lunch. She had 3 helpings. Then they did their best to dress her, since she'd come to Lourdes with only her night clothes. After going to the baths to bathe, she took her medical notes to the medical bureau. There's a special bureau at Lourdes where medical professionals who are on staff are the ones who look into these, possible miraculous situations. So they document everything. They have the medical records, and they see what was before, what was after, all of that. So they took out her file, which must have been very interesting. At the time, John was being treated in Lane by Professor McLean. And I might add, because I am free to say so now, that although he was undeniably an excellent doctor who really cared about his patients, He was a notorious unbeliever. When John returned to Rene on the Sunday morning, he said, "Where's John? Is she dead?" "Oh no, Professor, she's here." "And what's she doing now?" "Giving injections." Indeed, John had gone back to her old work as an assistant nurse. He examined her, and at the end of the examination, which lasted quite a while, in front of everyone, he said, "I didn't believe in miracles before, but I do now." In his lectures at the university, he would say to his students, "That's what happens in Lourdes, wherever Lourdes may be. Science can't explain it." And when he knew his end was very close, he was quite prepared to ask John if he could meet a priest to put his conscience in order. That story I really liked because it gave that further range, if you will. Sometimes people are not cured for themselves only. Yes, for sure. But sometimes even more for others. God knows, again, who needs it the most. So the stories that we've all told, hopefully today, have helped us, again, all of us, to see the wonders and goodness of God. We'd like to kind of conclude our celebration of today. Our choir, a good member of the choir is with us. We'll have some singing that we can all join in, and then we'll do a closing prayer to conclude our day.
Monsieur Leval did not come, and from the French consulate, so there's not much we can do about that, but we will still
lot, and you learn a lot that, that you didn't know before pertaining to your subconscious mind. That subconscious mind is, in my opinion, which would perform miracles.
Right.
That's what creates
Right.
all these different gods. It ain't the different God, Jesus or whatever.
Right.
It's up here.
Let me ask
Kept
you
Henry
this.
alive for 2
Huh?
years.
I want to bring
Kept Henry alive for 2 years.
Yeah.
He was gone, he was given 6 months. When I learned about that, he had 3 months to live. When I came to see him that, 2 years ago, then David gave me tapes of laughter, comedians. One thing. They dwelled on, I sent him tapes on how to get in touch with his inner soul to heal himself. I didn't even know about it then. I was just sending them. I wasn't even into this stuff. No, I didn't know anything. I always ignored Robin and Dave into this psychic studies, psychic healings and all that. I believed in, that's cult shit.
Under the category called shit.
Yeah. And
And it
so
was
I never
scary.
deviated. We talked about it slightly, and it was a sore subject with me because I believed in the straight
At one of
narrow. I didn't believe in
At
it.
one of these meetings, they had a volunteer from the audience. They had a number of people that joined it. And they had one volunteer, hypnotist, just demonstrated.
The hypnotist?
Huh?
Pat Collins?
No,
A hypnotist.
Oh, I think he said the hypnotist.
Put him on that. And
nothing.
you cannot bend that arm. If anybody in the audience come try to bend that arm, you couldn't do it.
Who did that?
You'd sit on it if they wanted to. Couldn't bend it on.
They have this every
Just
other
up
Sunday.
and
They do this
Is that
every
right?
Sunday night.
He
Every-
ought to
every-
not
uh,
do
yeah,
that.
What, every other Sunday?
No, every
And,
Sunday night.
Every Sunday
A
night.
lot of, in my opinion, a lot
I couldn't
of
believe it.
miracles was cured.
And I'm a
Jesus was
I came in there and I
he
tried,
had clairvoyant
because I
power.
had this chest
You could even
problem
levitate.
so long ago.
But I don't, that's as far as it goes.
Diaphragm, I can't breathe good, I'm always congested, I catch the first
You
cold.
raise
It's
seven, you rip my
I'm
knee,
always
I
otherwise.
wasn't raised.
Congestion now, always been
Well,
I was a
healthy
convert.
before this.
Huh?
I was a convert up until I was
Every
17.
year I take
Then
the
I-
kids to
I
Las
asked too many
Vegas.
questions.
Yeah.
See.
Well,
So,
Religions
Wanna
do
fly out
not
of Oakland,
permit.
I'm in Santa
One of the
Rosa,
times,
Choir had come across the
religion-
bay, I stay with them in the RV
it's a hand
overnight.
You gotta follow it.
And when I went there,
You don't know for yourself.
Robin's, I'll
It's
say
a
husband,
fact.
Yeah.
the kind of
You could read history, and some of them.
got hold of me
Get
and
that
said,
real power, interpret,
you willing to learn
reinterpret,
this?
and
Yeah.
just add on, so on, and
Because
so
I
forth.
talked to
You
people
know what I mean?
down there.
But I've read, here's
I
a
didn't
good
wanna be a
book
part
I
of it.
read.
So
Yeah.
The Acquiring
he called the girl over and he
Jesus
says,
Christ.
take Chuck's left hand and he
Oh,
he was
he's
a
got
master
the
hypnotist.
He tells
And he
them
went like
all
this.
about Christ. He's the
Tapped him
Bible.
on the shoulder and said,
Drops.
and bowed their head and said, get in your psychic state. It's a key word.
So you guys understand, this is already a build-up. He worked with these two other individuals for a long
Yeah,
time.
he went to.
Keywords,
Huh?
suggestions.
We know
He's got
that.
little kids now that
He
are
was
parent- are-
he was an Eastern
offspring of some of the reverends
See,
that are in the building.
Christ
that
was an
come in.
extraterrestrial.
And these little
If
kids
you,
What?
said, get in
an
your psychic
extraterrestrial.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
I mean,
it's in the Bible,
But
it's
they're
in the
good for
scripture.
it.
Yeah.
You know, the
The betterment
angels,
is
you can call them
that
aliens,
it's a religion.
ETs, or
Well, I might
angels,
say
or
that,
whatever.
I mean, you
But
got
it's
to
not
mean,
all
look,
religious.
theoretical, I mean.
It's
but-
No, 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 not
follow
theoretical.
true
Look
religion.
at
Give
every religious
to other
belief.
people,
Every
to
religious
heal,
belief. Every religious belief.
to tithe.
And it
Yeah.
all
Well, here's
is
an interesting thing. What happened when
from
we were on a retreat trip? We had a piece
outside
of property up in
of
Tahoe,
this planet.
and
So
we
that
did-
means they're all
It was like a transient
extraterrestrials.
weekend.
All of the gods.
So
Von
we had the
Daniken,
kids do it.
we were talking
And,
about the other day.
They asked
all
each of
comes
the kids,
from
is there like a
beyond
problem? If there was
this
one,
planet.
is there a problem? Something
Jesus
going on, whether it's
said,
at school, at home, or whatever,
not
that you like to get work done.
this
So put them in the
world.
state, and then,
everything in the Bible.
one of them, there was actually one of the
Every
guys
scripture.
who's there, his
whether
like a
it's
grandfather to
Tibet,
one of these girls, and she came down
Hindu,
from
Buddhist,
Redmond, Washington, and she was
Aztec,
having a
Mayan,
heck of a time. She had like
whatever.
this
It all
perfection of being the perfect student. She was
projects
14 years old, very
beyond
mature,
this
just
planet.
really beautiful. She just
Well,
blossomed.
they call it
And,
heaven or whatever.
She was like getting straight A's, but there was so much pressure at that age. She was staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning, get straight A's, and she's like in this prep school, this very,
Like a flying
you know,
saucer.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and they're making
it's
it's
a
a
physics
they until college at least to do that. And she was staying up long periods.
Exactly.
You know, she
And
had
they screwed up.
She had to get all
Yeah.
Right.
But
And that's why he
science
said,
was her major
why the hell
block.
have y'all
She had
fucked up?
a heck of a time understanding.
That's
it.
what he said. He
So
said,
what
Father,
happened
Father,
was
why
they
have
put
you
her-
forsaken me?
put
Because
her
the
into that
plan
state, the
was
relaxation
to come get him before
and
he
start working on the subconscious mind.
died. But something screwed
Clear out
up.
those things
Something
that are
screwed
blocking
up.
whatever
We
it
don't
is.
know what
And,
it
you know,
was.
she saw the picture of what it
And
was.
they had to
that
abandon
was
him.
occurring to block
But they
science.
came back and got
And they
it.
just, and, you know, and what it was,
Anything
but they
from my
helped,
auntie.
see, they helped to start releasing
David
all that
said
stress.
spiritual.
You know, and then so what happened at the
Define
end,
spirit.
when she came back out after they released it,
There is-
everything, she
to
sent
me,
a letter
there is
about
no
a week and a
such
half
thing
ago.
as
This is about a
spiritual.
month and a half ago that we went up there.
You see, so
Everyone has
She
a
came
spirit.
I have asked
back.
everybody.
Everyone has a spirit.
It's like,
You pass
right
on.
now,
What
everything
is
is just coming to her
No,
so
what
easy
is
with
it?
science,
Define
it.
pressure, she
It's,
doesn't feel like she has to perform,
Don't
all this
tell
anxiety,
me you don't
Yeah.
released
know.
all that anxiety.
Define it.
She had to be the
I don't
If
perfect
you,
kid
if you
for
can
her parents.
articulate it,
Right.
You know,
then
she's
you
in a
should be able
situation,
to
she's under
define
a lot of
it.
stress.
and
14.
no
She shouldn't be that,
religious,
it shouldn't be that.
no minister, no
And so
priest,
she learned
no
how to put herself,
philosopher,
she gave herself
ever,
instructions, so
in
whenever
my
she's feeling
estimation,
that way, it's
been
like,
able
help
to
define
define
Yeah.
spirit.
release that.
What's the
Amazing.
spirit of Christ, or the spirit of God, or the spirit of the
Spiritualism.
football
He
game?
wants to define spirit.
Yeah, you were saying spiritual.
Spiritual.
What? Define it.
Define spiritual.
When you say Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit, who is the Holy Spirit?
And define it. No, don't tell me who it is. Just define spirit.
God, because that's what we are.
No,
We're
wait.
reflection.
God is not a definition. God is only a designation. It's like saying San Francisco.
This is all on tape, we're not getting what we're getting here.
Well,
Anyway,
nevertheless,
let's put it
I don't
on
mean to put you on the spot.
Well,
How many
I told
years?
you.
No.
Friend of mine told you on something that I should have been on myself.
Oh, no, because what?
What?
Can't hurt anybody. No.
No,
Everybody's got skeletons. Everybody's got skeletons in their family.
Yeah, I mean, look,
Find that out.
you know, when Lola was contemplating committing suicide, you know, I knew it. She told me. She told me years before you knew it.
No, I told you.
No.
Yeah, oh, Tommy, when she wanted to borrow that gun, I said, Tommy, your mother had a suicidal fantasy.
When was this?
Oh my God, years before she committed suicide. I told you that. I said she's prone to commit suicide. I
Yeah.
told you that. I said, I gotta get that gun back. I don't wanna be halfway responsible. And I got my gun back because I know she was that way. She was prone to commit suicide.
Yeah.
I tell you how I knew it. You remember this woman she used to live with? She would introduce her to wine, you might say. You know, she was staying with this old woman she thought was Winstead or something.
Oh yeah, you talking about ancient history.
Well, let me tell you,
Yeah.
it was all indication in the world what she had in mind because she told me, she says, that this Winstead got real sick,
Mm-hmm.
almost terminal, you might say. She was suffering. I can't understand that woman. I said, well, why does she keep on living? I said, what do you mean? Why don't you don't take a pill? She was like it was just supposed to be this way.
Mm.
And like, that was the practical thing to do. Well, I knew then and there. What else could you arrive at, you know?
Yeah.
And I told you on the way back from the camp years ago before she did, I said, Lola is prone to commit suicide.
I don't remember that.
Oh, but I do.
Oh.
And she had the reason I thought you'd remember because I loaned her my pistol. She said somebody was trying to break the front and she lived by herself and thought somebody was going to break in.
Yeah.
And when after she said that, and insisted on her giving my pistol back.
I don't remember that. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Did Lola suffer a lot from headaches? Because I remember her taking aspirin all the time. We stayed with her on Sundays sometimes. We go, Grandma would take us out of the home and we go to Lola's for dinner, go to a movie. And she'd take us to the drugstore and have sodas. Big thing. Look forward to it. Always she was taking us.
Yeah.
And I don't know who told me,
I knew that.
I heard one of the adults say something.
She didn't say anything.
Lola and aspirin, that's gonna kill
You know,
her.
they put us on.
I don't know if she had
Could have
headaches.
been
I asked you
addicted to
about
aspirin.
it.
No,
That's what I say, so.
she was bulimic.
Bulimic?
Yeah, she was bulimic before they had defined it.
Oh,
Yeah, because she would purge herself on weekend. You know, after she'd gorge herself. You know, on weekends, and then she would fast all week long and take, you know, what do you call it, Epsom salts and, you know, whatever. Purgatives, yeah, purgatives. And all she did was drink Cokes. That's all she would do. So, you know, that constant fluctuation was bad on the system, you know, and then smoking and all of the, just, you know, all of the things, if somebody had said, look, this is the way to make yourself ugly and deformed and mentally incompetent, this is how you should do it. You know, that's what she was doing. And she would try to force me to eat, you know, constantly eat. And I resisted, of course. You know, a lot of times I'd walk out. I'd walk out the house because I get so goddamn pissed off. You know, I just type stuff. And, you know, try to explain it to her in a rational, logical fashion. And it was, I don't know if it was a psychological thing or a physiological thing that was brought on by this bulimia. I don't know. But then toward the end, she was drinking a lot of vodka.
Well, you knew it was final when she put her dog away.
Oh, yeah, I knew that.
Put away?
That was
a what dog?
her dog, yeah.
Put her to sleep.
Yeah.
That was just a week.
Yeah, well, no.
What she
No, she went to live with Virginia after that. She lived with Virginia for quite a while after she put the dog down.
How'd she die?
Pills, probably.
I think she was waiting for Mama's birthday.
Is that right? You think so?
Oh, yeah,
Her birthday?
Mama's
Well,
birthday.
she
Yeah.
did it on her birthday.
She despised Mama.
Yeah, I know.
Well, she thought that was part of punishment.
Yeah.
God, man.
Yeah. So, you know, you're right. I should be a lot of really twisted, man, in my head.
Wonder I turned out so good.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
I'm from all these genes here.
Well, but,
I don't think I got anything wrong with me.
yeah. Mhm.
I swear to God, I don't know. Oh, what's I gonna say about Lola? One of our rare times I took her out to dinner and she really, really enjoyed it. Oh, when you come back, please take me out again. You know? I just bullshit with her at dinner and treated her like, you know, seated her first, opened the door. Oh, you got such beautiful manners. Oh, I'm projecting because, I mean, Lola and I haven't seen each other for years, you know.
Yeah.
And I come flying in or something. So, one time she says, I just wish I could tell you about your mother.
She
And
did.
my hair went up, you know, and I said, oh, well, you know, I didn't know what it was going to be. But Grandma said the same thing, and Grandma was tight-lipped. And that's why I thought when Blanche came back from New York, Grandma was always after nitpicking with Blanche
Always.
about leaving us in the
Oh,
home.
yeah.
She resented that they just took off and, you know, kind of left us. But it didn't help. I mean, I didn't know anything about it at the time, so I grew up great. I loved the home.
Yeah.
And I had companions every day of the week.
Yeah.
And, but when Grandma said something about Oh, that mother of yours. Sometimes she'd get exasperated. When Blanche would call from Texas or something, you got any mail for me? Did any mail come in? Or, don't send it, don't give any information if somebody comes to the door.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, to be
So
frank
sick.
with you, maybe you don't wanna hear that.
What?
Blanche was having her second fling.
Well, that's, yeah. I'd like to have a third.
She didn't want no responsibility.
Huh?
She didn't want the responsibility.
No. No, well, later I figured out when she left, she was out to party, that's New York, you know, going to a party town. And maybe the people she met, a little unsavory and, you know, who knows at that time, you know, that was during the gangster regimes, man, that was, and,
So how old was Lola when she passed away?
69.
was she?
Mm-hmm.
How many years ago was that?
79. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, Virginia found her. What she did was she wrote a letter to Virginia and to me from this, and it's all goes to the mosaic of the mind. She chose a whorehouse motel on Airline Highway, which is like, you know, the hooker highway is what they call it, you know, hooker highway at that time. It was a series of cheap motels where prostitutes hung out. And she went there to, you know, do herself in. Now, Virginia said she found her on the floor between the bed and the door as if she may have changed her mind. Now, I don't know if that's just Virginia's interpretation or what, but the pills that she took, I never found out. I was able to keep it out of the paper because I knew the coroner. He was one of my political cronies. I worked on his campaign, a guy named Frank Minyard. So, you know, I kept it out of the paper just to protect it. Yeah. But let me ask you, was Blanche ever put in a home?
No,
I don't think so.
No.
no, she and Charlie, Charlie was a little older than Blanche.
They were old enough to get out on their own.
Yeah, early.
Yeah. And you did too.
Huh?
No, he was in a home.
Oh, you were in a home too?
I'm the one that got stuck.
No, I mean, you were in a home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got
Yeah.
put out. She took me out when I was 13 and lied about my age to go to work. Went to work and made at D.H. Holmes. I was making up to $6 an hour. I mean, $6 a week.
Yeah.
Could give it to you in envelopes. Then no check.
Mm-hmm.
And
$6.
it was kind of, I enjoyed it in a way because I was got to be a street boy.
Yeah.
And
You get the note yet?
They gave me a raise.
Savvy.
And I never did tell them that I got $2 more I could spend on all kinds of stuff. Well, that's how, you know, that day there was blah, blah. I love to go to DuMolin. There was a DuMolin boiler on Canal Street. They had two of them homes next door to each other. And I go to Woolworth.
Right there.
Mark. Get me a pie. And three of them, but
What was it?
three pies.
Oh, pies. Yeah, the mud pies. Yeah, like
If it wasn't pie, I'd get chocolate to go sit and show it. And cowboy pictures, they come, well, that's
Well, how old were you when you were put in a home?
about 10.
So you went 3 years.
No, 3.
yeah,
3 years, yeah. What home was it?
Same one.
Oh, Walter
Yeah.
Bird.
Yeah.
Oh,
When we were in there, the superintendent was William T. Bird,
Yeah, how was he?
and everybody loved him
Really?
because he was in there as a child too, and then he became superintendent. He was the assistant to what the heck was that guy's name? Can't remember him. Him and his wife were mean sadists, man. The way they flail kids with a big old thick rubber paddle. I mean, it was just, it would bend. But he put welts on guys' asses that
Who did?
this, not Bird.
Yeah.
Bird would turn away. Bird had to be there to back up. I can think of this guy's name. Buskert. Van Buskert.
Yeah.
Van Buskert. Him and his wife. And I think she was a little perverse too, because she enjoyed tearing kids' pants down and paddling them on their ass.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so we didn't know. In those days, you know, you were, well, I
Well,
deserved
they
this.
did that when I was there too, and me, I'm sorry to the day that I didn't do it, the little Spanish guy. Look, he says, we're gonna get the hell rid of him. Told us we gotta go down to the basement. He said, I tell you what, let's not let this happen again. My brother hit me, you know.
Your brother gave him what?
His brother outside the home.
Yeah.
His older brother would loan him a gun and a pistol. He said we would paddle his ass. I'm so sorry to this day that I didn't do it. Else go to the newspapers and explode them bastards. What they were doing.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have worked.
Huh?
It wouldn't have worked, I don't think, in those days.
In those days,
Going to the newspaper.
You don't think?
no, because I
They
think
wouldn't have taken your word for it.
kids ratted to their family
Yeah,
about
but I would think.
the Buskirts.
Oh,
And they had investigators come out there, and they cleaned them just like that, a couple hours. Everybody knew that these investigators were coming.
Oh.
It was passed down, and the older guys knew it, and everybody heard about it. And when they came and they investigated the Buskirts took them in the mess hall and ordered everybody, okay, have some dinner, and you know, and they yacked out the door they went. That was the end of it.
That Dumas used to.
Dumas, yeah.
They knocked down. They
Oh, when we first got there, it was Dumas.
Yeah, but they would knock it down. I mean,
They were taken.
Give a sandwich like this.
Yeah, they were taken.
With a couple of Vienna sausages on it for screw. I picked them. I was so hungry, I was picking up. And man, way before even 10 o'clock, I mean, and when 12 o'clock came,
Everybody
well,
knows
you
there
know,
was
I said, man, I
cutting
ain't
corners.
sandwich a long time ago. But I mean, it was funny in a sense that what it is with the contrast of getting away from there and with a sun country, I had all I wanted to eat, whatever you know.
Yeah, because you could, yeah.
Freedom.
But you said Dumas was running the home. But when I got there, it was Dumas.
Yeah. There was,
But now, isn't that funny? I mean, that's years out. I mean,
yeah. There was
well,
someone, his wife,
20 years apart.
his wife was a little kooky.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was,
But then came the Buskirts, and boy, she was hell on wheels. She'd point out to her husband, "This one needs a beating." And they take you in the library and bend you, take your pants down, and bend you over a table, and you had to hold on. If you let go, then that's 2 more strikes. I mean, they had all kind of their own rules, and you knew them when you went in there.
Bud wasn't like that, huh?
Bird had to be there because he drove the truck, he did the gardening, he arranged for all the work for all the kids, you know. And that guy was a good jack of all trades. Anything went wrong, Bird fixed. But then he became superintendent.
Yeah.
And boy, that home was run. He knew how to run it. You know, from the past experiences of working for these other real
I went to.
sadists.
I went
Really, they had to be sadists to enjoy
Oh,
kids.
man, yeah.
And you know,
The 19. This picture here says Pierre Ballet was celebrate his silver jubilee on October 20, 1929. So I mean, I was 2 years old when he was celebrating. I remember him, but he doesn't do much after this. One other thing I like to say, the guys who build this church, the carpenters got $6 a week That was their pick. Charlie Pichon, Old Man Charlie, my Uncle Louis. The reason I know, Charlie had worked out your whole week and he lost his pay day. And they used to pay him cash, $6. My brother found $6. My daddy said, I don't know who that is. Said Charlie lost his payday, wouldn't give it back. Worked a whole 6 days for $6, and then he lost his payday, but we got it back.
Right.
Thank y'all. Good evening.
I'm just going to kind of piggyback a little bit in terms of the history, not so much from here, but from Lourdes in France. Just recently I had a chance to visit the shrine there, and I had been told that Father Ballet had some recollection of there when he saw this place. Something reminded him of Lourdes. And so I looked for, when I went, to look, because now this is back in the I guess he was thinking back into the teens, the early 1900s, because this was built in 1923. So whatever he was remembering had to be, of course, around that time or earlier. So the shrine in Lourdes, the way it looks today, I mean, it doesn't look anything like here. It's all built up and huge basilicas and all of that. But I did find a couple of pictures. I made some copies. I'm going to pass these around just to maybe see what y'all think. There's a picture, there's two pictures, one on top of the other. I have two copies, we'll pass it around. The top one is the way the shrine looked, the grotto where the Blessed Mother appeared to Bernadette in around 1860. So early, right after the apparitions. Now later on they developed the whole property, and the way the shrine looks, the grotto looks now, just that part where she appeared in the hillside is on the bottom part. Okay, so to give you an idea a little bit, you can pass that around. Take a look and pass it around. Around Lourdes, it's in the mountains. It's a mountainous area, the Pyrenees Mountains in southern France. Now, we don't have mountains in Louisiana, so I know Father Ballet wasn't thinking about mountains. Okay, but right where the grotto is, where the Blessed Mother appeared, there's a river that runs right by it, and then there's like a hill. It's not really a mountain, but it's a hill where this little cave is. And there was a natural spring that was in there. So what I figured was Father Ballet must have been remembering a little hilly kind of territory, and there's some little hills here, and some natural water in the area. And of course the font at Lourdes is the big thing. And so that's why the little grotto here and the font was put in here. So what Mr. Kuzan was talking about in terms of the replica of Lourdes, I think that's the kind of the features. And if you want to see just what Lourdes looks like today a little bit more, I have a postcard picture of that. If you've never been, it's a very impressive place, a wonderful place of pilgrimage, of prayer, continual, again, use of the waters, and also a lot of the sick very much look there for special blessings. And another picture of the grotto in color. So if y'all want to pass these around, they're for you to look at. And that's also another lead-in to the fact that we do have a display outside with some of these items and some other items of historical interest, about the shrine, some other pictures of Father Ballet. We also have some souvenirs of today, of the celebration, some bottles, if you'd like to take some water home, different size bottles, and some other things available. So we have refreshments still available. We're going to take another break. People can visit, do whatever they like for a while, and then when you hear the bell ringing again, we'll do something else, some more stories. Probably the next thing will be some healing stories or some music.
Before I come to now, the student here who went to school right at this place, I'm going to tell everybody, go ahead. Stand up, please. That's one of the
Okay, Thomas. Okay, very good. Thomas.
He went to school right behind
to be in school here?
All right. We had a very nice teacher. Matter of fact, we had 3 teachers during the time. We had a lady from Madisonville, Delphine Eisen, and Leon Morgan, and Helen Sears. So we father would teach attitude, religious class in here. And just like Jack said about being rough on the children, true. It's railing around the pool, that flying thing.
Right.
Used to be on the old.
Oh.
And my cousin, he messed up, some kind of way, and he had to kneel down there. So he was shaking it, and Father Beverly come down, I'm sure, back then, and he marked inside. Don't shake my fence.
Very good. Anything else you remember? Good. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, well, thank you, Mr. John. Please, Mr. John. And we'll take a break now, so feel free to roam around as you will.
She kept praying and she said nothing was doing anything until she took the water and she just threw it all over her breast and she said the pain started to ease and ease and ease and she was finally able to go to sleep. The next time she went to sleep, for some reason the doctor wanted to do an x-ray, nothing. She came 2 weeks ago for my daughter's graduation party and she said, I'm so happy, I just want to thank God. And I just want to celebrate. And they came back and got more water. Another thing, that same weekend before that they came, the first weekend that they came, another friend of mine and her son and her husband, they all came too. And she got the water, I gave them all water to take back home. I said, oh, take some water back home. Well, the little boy I heard was talking about Mrs. Carter's grandchild. What he did was, he broke his foot some kind of way, and they had the doctor wrapped something around him. He couldn't walk, he wanted to play with those other little boys. So he heard us talking, and what he did was, he took some of his mama's water, and he threw all over it to see if it was going to work. And it worked, the swelling went down and everything, and he was running. His mama said, wait, stop running, I just brought you to the doctor. What's wrong with you? I said, it's well, Mama, it's well, look, I can kick it out the movie. So, okay, this happened within this year, within my family that I know of personally, okay, personal experience with the holy water, okay, with the water from this shrine right here. As for me, personally, the Blessed Mother has always helped me. There was never one time that I asked for something that I did not get. Sometimes I was impatient, but she said, wait, now I got to talk to my son. Hey, Lord, okay, talk to your son. Hurry up, Blessed Mother. I'll come in here by myself and just sit and say, and I'll cry, and I'll say this, wait there, and it's going to come. And it always comes. So have faith. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yes. We went back and went to New Orleans. Something was wrong. Ball was sticking out. The dentist told her that if they remove that ball, there's no way that they could do anything. So she came here every day. Her husband brought her here, and she walked her out with water. And one morning, she woke up, the ball was sticking out. So they husband air fried. And then they rushed here, washed him out. They went to the doctor, and the doctor miraculously healed him. Everything was all right. Did not help.
How long ago was that?
That was quite a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
Quite, I don't know how many years,
All right.
years ago.
Okay.
But for myself,
Yeah.
One more, I heard one more. This man, Mom, my husband told me about, his sister goes to church, okay, he, for some reason, I don't know what happened, but, something happened with his back and he couldn't walk. He couldn't walk, he used to bring sweet potatoes over to sell, but then he couldn't walk, something happened. And what they did was, they came over here, and, my husband's Beverly, so much, okay, but he said that they got him back to walk. And they brought back to hospital.
How much?
But anyway, but they made this man in the water also. And he was able to get up and walk, and the doctor could not, they couldn't find why he couldn't walk, okay? And they were surprised when he went back in and he was walking. So every time they couldn't bring sweet potato, they come over here and get some water, but they don't get a barrel.
Maybe that's why the pressure's getting low. Anyone else? Okay, I do know we have some other stories a little later at about 4:15, and when we do that one, I'll also share with you a little bit of some of the history again from Lourdes and some of the stories from there in France, and share just a couple of those stories, which are also very impressive. Okay? So, Joanne, you ready to do the song for us? Or whoever?
In the front.
Okay. We're going to do a little musical moment now, and then after Joanne offers a song for us, then we'll, oh, okay. We have some accompaniment. And after that, we'll take another break. Again, you can feel free to visit it, whatever. And when you hear the bell again, come on back.
Amazing grace, shall always be my song of praise. For it was grace that taught my liberty. I do not know just how he came to know.
A little bit about that time when the chapel was no longer in use. And there are a lot of people here, I know, who know that period very well. So my understanding was that when the chapel was first opened, there was a mass here on Sundays about once a month, if I got that correct. And I don't know how long that lasted. That seemed to be the pattern for a good while. And then, for whatever reason, maybe the population of Lacombe and people could travel more, I don't know what. But the chapel here then went into disuse. It wasn't being used at all. And that's when we had a lot of problems. This was in the 60s and 70s. And then a question was raised about why not reuse the chapel. So there was a move to clean up and to prepare and to improve the chapel. And now it's being used on a weekly basis on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning for Mass every week throughout the year. Hasn't been a Mass here on Sunday since I've been here. Now, that's very short, but my impression was there hasn't been one on Sunday for a long time. But at least it's been used during the week, and it's open at other times so that people can come visit, pray, get the water, whatever. Okay? So anyway, now we'd like to start with those who knew about that period when it had gone into disrepair and the beginnings of doing something to bring it back. Suzanne and Helen, you said, I think y'all can maybe tell us a little bit about that. Start us off. And anybody else who wants to chime in again, feel free, okay?
Okay, I'm gonna stand up. In 1969, Monsignor Godin came to our area, and he left in 1976. So during that time, the last mass was said here, under Monsignor Godin, and then we started with people desecrating the chapel. So therefore, you cannot keep this Blessed Sacrament here when it's desecrated because it has to be reconsecrated again. Laurent's son, Walter Laurent Sr., cut the grass here and kept it clean under Monsignor Godin, and he was paid $1 for cutting the grass. And the Altar Society said, someone from the Altar Society said that was too little bit, let's pay $5. So Laura said, no, I'll pay him. And so he took that over. And then she and her husband, Walter, took over from 1969 to 1981. They cut the grass, closed the chapel, and opened it every day. And then the desecration started getting worse because they started breaking the doors down. Monsignor Strasser used to come here. When he came here in July 1976, he was here until 1984. People were breaking in, doing things that they shouldn't have been doing here. He would come here at night when the police would call him. So a group of us got together. It was Maybelle Parker, Laura Laurent, Geraldine Pichon, and I came here in the late 80s, and we cleaned up, and Monsignor Strasser came out here to see what we had done. So at that time, I said, Father Strasser, rather than you getting killed up here, let us restore this chapel. He said, I would have to get permission from the Archdiocese. So he was in process of getting permission from the Archdiocese. So he said, how are you going to do this? I said, the only way that we can do it is with the children. The children know who's doing this. The children are the future generation. We're dying believing. So let's get the children involved. The CCD children from Sacred Heart became involved with this project. Cynthia Cryer brought the kids up here every Saturday on the back of the truck. Valerie Guzman, Esther Majuri was involved, Maybelle Parker, who else is the other leader? We had Pat Cherie come up here. She took pictures of the kids. Rene said my daughter was one of the ones that the picture was taken. We cleaned everything that you could name out of this place at that point. The purpose was having children as the president, vice president, secretary, and we were to be the leaders. Because once we're gone, you need those leaders. You need a revolving door. Because right now, we do not have that revolving door. We're looking for people to work here. The children are not involved because we did not have the revolving door. Well, Father Strasser went to the Archdiocese and he got the permission to get started with the shrine. June McGee's here. She worked out here every Saturday. Chris and Gail Borisov, they were supposed to do the sign. However, the sign that we started off with is not here. That was the one with the Blessed Mother from Medjugorje, which had her arms extended out. Cynthia and the kids, Mr. and Grubauer was to help us. That came in later. When I made the announcement at the end of the fair, in 1981, we had a fair meeting in October, and I made the announcement that we were working on the fair. That's when Francis and some of the other ladies came in. Miss Peggy McGovern worked out here every Saturday, Bertha Baptiste. Harold Pichon started the first tearing up of the back, and we needed to termite. There was lots of termites in here. And so we were here for about a year with the kids, the CCD kids, every Saturday morning. And then Peggy McGovern drew a picture, and she said this will get us started with the money for the renovation. That picture was raffled. And let's see what else was it. Larry Kuzan gave us 4 posts to put up. We moved the sign from this side to where it is now. The sign was facing going out rather than coming in. So we moved the sign to the left. Esther and I took a post hole digger to work. We came out here one day and put the post in and put the cement in, and this is how we got the sign moved over to the other side. So what else did we do? We had gotten permission for Father O'Hara to stay in the back once it was completed. And he said that I would do the mass every day here if I'm allowed to stay in the back. But that never materialized. I don't know what happened. I was no longer involved with the shrine in '82. However, I played background and I was lucky to go in '82. But during the meantime, the healing story was also that my dad had suffered a myocardial infarction, and he drank his water for 8 years. He lived through that. We had a Mrs. Seal, Coco, we called it, that came here every day and bathed in here. He had cancer of the lungs. He lived longer than my dad. So that's about it. Good. Wonderful.
My name is Pete Cousin, and first of all, I'd like to, I'm not in Beverly's league because I got a picture here that says that in 1929, he was celebrating his silver jubilee, and I was born in 1927. So I'm 2 years old when he was a priest 25 years. But I know something about the history of this place. And those old rims that you see that's out there on the sidewalk, a long time ago, Lacombe was built up on the wood industry. This is a sawmill town, piling, logs, and everything was shipped here by schooners to New Orleans to help build New Orleans. And long time ago, the wheels was 8 foot high, and they put logs under the thing. They call them carry a log, the name of the way. They put 4 big logs in there, and they brought them to the bayou, and they dumped them in the bayou, and they had what they call a log runner. And he would float them down the bayou and bring them to the mill, and put them in the mill pond, and pull them out of the pond, and put them in the sawmill and make lumber. Put them on a schooner and ship it to New Orleans. That the Eureka, the Susquehanna, the Winnie Davis, the Jubilee, and that all, this lady here, some of them, some hot people at school, who's saying that at school. But then later on, somebody in Tennessee got a little smart and said that they would lower the wheels down, put the log on top of the wagon, it could make a better load. Instead of taking 4 logs, it could take 6. So that's what those old rims is out there, is a part of our heritage, a part of our history. People ask me what they, most of the young people don't know what they're there. And if you're looking at pond out there, that little fish pond out there, they got those old caramel axles in there. That's a part of the old wagon. So that's the stuff that's over 100 years old. And people that built this church here, I know Charlie Pichon, Charlie Senior, and Louis Cousin, they got $1 a day. They got $6 a week, and Padre paid them off in cash. I come a long way behind, way a long time after. In the 60s, in the 70s, it's like Paul said, this little chapel fell on some bad times, and they said they didn't need it, and it just went bad. So the group of parishioners in Sacred Heart Church started a movement to raise some money. And to raise some money, and I got the job because they had a little bit of money to spend and plenty of work to do. And most of the people that do this kind of work was old and they all had died, so I was probably the only one that knew how to do all this kind of stuff. And so that's why I was here. Keep food laws young and plant drop I eat. So it's plenty a little bit of money and plenty of work. So we worked out here and we had a lot of good things happen to us. And you see these nice glasses over this windows up there. Had a man in New Orleans, Hannah, They came out of the old St. Linus Church in Slidell on Vincent Road and Monegro Road. Me and Miss Alice Buckley went over to see him, and he told me, he said, "You was a nice man, he had the same name as me, his name was Cousin." He said, "Mr. Cousin," he said, "there had abundance of people come over here and want to buy these things." He said, "but I know they want to sell them." I said, "Well, I didn't come over here to buy them. I said, I come over here to ask you to give them to me." He said, "Oh, Lord, no." And he said, "Why, what you got?" "I want them to put in the little shrine over there." He said, "You got it." He gave it to me. It was dirty, it had been painted, about 50 coats of paint on. We took them work on about 2 weeks. And we got them like that. Miss Buckley was kind of, Buckley and Mary Curette was kind of pulled this thing up, who always wait for us. And they came look at it. Said, "All right, Peter, go ahead with them." I had one left, and I needed this bullseye. I had one window left. And I was out there looking at it one morning. And this guy told me, he said, "Mr. Cutler," he said, "look like you would." I said, "If I could find somebody smarter than me to make a round window for me to go up there," I said, "my job would be free." He said, "Well, you talking to the man, that's what I do." He said, "I'm a retired glass man. Give me your window." He said, "No, I'll make it." In a week he came back with it. I never did get his name, address, or nothing. I couldn't say the day we did. So we went on, one guy came, and he wanted to do the back. He thought he needed to do something to share. Did that free. I waited for a guy in Oklahoma, Oklahoma, his name was Lloyd Paul. I asked him to, "You want to paint something?" I asked him to sell us some cheap paint. He came and looked at it and said, "I'll do better than that. I'll bring a crew out here and I'll paint it." He came out one side and painted it, rained that Saturday and wash all paint off. So I called him back and told him about it. He said, "Well," I said, "the blessed lady must have didn't like the color." So I'm going to change the color. I'll be back next week. We're going to paint it again. He changed the color and came back the next week and painted it. It's been on there ever since. I want to thank you. Yeah, good thing.
There's a lady here who knew Father Ballet. Her name's Donna Duval. Would you
Very good.
tell
Tell us a little bit.
think you were baptized and married?
Very good.
Well, of course you can see I'm not young. I'm 84. My sister's 87. So when Father Ballet first came down to St. Genevieve over in Bayou Liberty, and I was born in 1914, and he christened me, and I went to catechism there. I sang in a choir, and I had to go across the bayou in a boat to get over there. So we didn't have a bridge in those days. And so later on, he married us, my husband and I, Adolph Duval Jr. And he married us over in Slidell, over at Our Lady of Lourdes, Slidell. So I knew Father Ballet very well. Yes, very well. Thank you.
This is my sister. He christened me. I didn't make my communion with him, but he did christen me.
Yeah, I'm 87.
I'm 87.
Anyone else have some stories about that period of the renovation of the chapel, the restoration of the chapel?
Our Lady really is here present, looks over this Jerusalem. In the early 1990s, I used to come and work on the grounds, and Pete and I became real good friends. And one morning I came in here, and I think Alice had come to me and said, "Don, I want you to see this." She said, "Only Our Lady would have done this." The tabernacle, someone had put a candle in there and lit the candle I'm a retired firefighter, and if that tabernacle door would have been left open, there would have been devastation here in the chapel. It would have been a tremendous loss. But they closed the tabernacle door and cut off the oxygen, and that put the candle out. And that's how it works here in this little chapel. And it's an incident that not many people know about, but I think it is a point of interest. So that's one of the little incidents that happened while I was around.
More recent story of some of the upkeep of the shrine goes back to Tom also in terms of, we noticed in the back, most of y'all won't see this, but I know about it. Because in the little sacristy, our storeroom at the back, all the area in the back, it was really getting kind of shoddy and paint was peeling and all that. So I got a few folks to volunteer to help to refurbish all of that part of the shrine. So it's ongoing, the upkeep of the shrine. Others have volunteered again recently. There was a lady just this last week before, I didn't get the name, brought some plants, put it right in the front. So donations of various sorts are still being done. And one of the more recent donations, Tom just brought in, it's a cross that was a family heirloom of some sort, and it was kind of falling apart a little bit, but when some people came and visited in this chapel, they said, we'd like to donate this cross to the chapel, and so, Tom, you want to say a little bit more about it?
Yeah, we designed it with the fleur-de-lis. The cross itself was just a little ugly pine and broken up, and the corpus was all beat up. So Alex Seamel, who made the cross for the Sacred Heart, did this according to a design which is on the bottles, which is our Diamond Jubilee logo, with the fleur-de-lis, which of course is French. Father Francis was from Saint Cyprien in France. And so this is made out of rosewood by Mr. Seamel, and then I did the touch-up on the corpus itself. So this will be put up somewhere in the chapel. It was anonymously donated by some people in Chalmette with the provision that it be restored and put in the chapel here. So it will be part of it. And incidentally, it's probably after 4:30 now. We invited the...
She's here. She wants to introduce.
Pardon?
They're here.
Here.
Oh, they're here. Oh. Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, this is somebody else. Oh, I'm sorry. You're not from the French consulate.
No. She just asked me to come in, and I was telling her how that's the only kind of water I drink is the healing water, either from this church or from the Church of St. Margaret Mary. They have a grotto also of Our Lady of Lourdes, and that's all I wanted to say. I mean, I didn't even want to say that. I didn't even want to say that.
Well, evidently they did not come, but I invited the French consulate from New Orleans to come because this is really sort of an unofficial Franco-Fête kickoff for Lacombe. Franco-Fête is the celebration of our French heritage, which will be for all of 1999, from January the 1st to December 31st of 1999. There will be a lot of different activities. So we're asking the French consulate to participate with us. We hope that we will twin with Lacombe, Canada. There is a Lacombe in Canada, in Alberta, the province of Alberta, that was founded by a priest. His name was Father Lacombe, and he was a missionary to the Indians, and he was part Indian himself up in Canada. So the similarity between Lacombe, Louisiana, with Father Roquette, and the Lacombe in Canada is quite remarkable. Also, we hope to twin with 5 different villages in France by the name of Lacombe. And also, I think it would be appropriate if we, as a parish, could twin Our Lady of Lourdes here in Lacombe with Our Lady of Lourdes in France. So, you know, we will be working on that for Franco Fest.
Okay, very good. Okay. Yes?
I was just going to say, things still happen here.
Right.
When we used to say the rosary every Tuesday morning, a few years back, maybe about 5 years back, I was sitting over here, and the lady was sitting on the side. And I noticed that she wasn't, so all of a sudden she became still. And she looked kind of strange, so I just saw it out the corner of my eye, and I turned around and I looked at her. She was looking down at her rosary. As we looked, beads were turning gold in her hand. She was sitting right over there. So I saw it happen.
And when was this?
This happened before we started repairing the chapel.
Oh, okay.
Before that, I'm not sure of the years.
All right.
This happened. It was either Mrs. Beverly or Mrs. Carter, and I cannot remember which one it was, but it was one of those two. But it did happen.
Very good. Okay. Well, I thought I was just going to open up.
It wasn't here. The same thing happened. It's just miraculous. I mean, it was totally eye-opening for me and a very uplifting experience. But this happened at Caritas in Birmingham.
Are there any other stories of any kind of healings from the waters of the chapel here or other events? The statue, okay. Uh-huh.
That's, when I was working over here, they had a man come in and he prayed you all the time. He wanted to know if you could donate, you know. And he gave one to his mom that I know you got his name. He put it in the church and walked out.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, all kind of privilege that,
Very good.
yeah, I want to read something. You could bump it, you think you put it in, yeah, bump it there, it's all right. You know, say a prayer, God, it's going, God, it's going.
I came here with my sister, that's probably about, maybe 10 years. And I came in here and it was flowing very good, the water. And I put my hand under it and it stopped dead. The water stopped dead. My sister went, ooh. She couldn't get over it. Maybe it's a sign of something, I don't know.
Okay, an experience of the water 10 years ago coming in, it was flowing very strongly, and when she put her hand in it, it stopped.
It really stopped. That's right.
Okay, I thought what I would do is share a little bit of the story of Lourdes in France, the history there in terms of the use of the water and a number of miraculous healings there. So we see a connection. This is an experience here that shows us, again, the role of Our Lady throughout the world, her powerful intercession with God for our well-being, body and spirit. And so that there have been the original appearances in Lourdes of our Blessed Mother were started in March of 1858. And the first cure was of Catherine Latapier. And since then, some 2,000 unexplained healings have been recorded. Now, of these, there have been some that have been investigated or looked into more deeply, and of those, 65 have actually been officially recognized as miraculous by the Church's authority. So this is over 100 years now. But some wonderful stories. The story of Bernadette herself is very powerful. She suffered from an asthmatic condition, and a few times she was on her deathbed. And yet, with her confidence in God's love and her, again, having used the waters of the spring, she lived a number of years more, and then, which is something very strong that I didn't remember, was that her body itself has been maintained incorrupt. So her body is not deformed and decomposed. And that's still present, still possible for people to see. There is a whole emphasis on people going to Lourdes. It's unique among the shrines of the world. Many people go to many shrines in the world. But Lourdes is especially designed and inviting to those who are severely ill, physically, mentally, emotionally, and the physical ailments are very obvious. And so one of the things that impressed me very deeply is that there is a procession of the sick every day of the year at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, people in wheelchairs, people in special little buggies that they provide, some on what do you call it, almost like a medical bed, being rolled out, put in place, and those who can be moved actually go in a great procession, in a very large avenue in front of the main basilica where the grotto is. And the Blessed Sacrament is also held in the procession, and a blessing for all the sick is given. And the prayers that accompany this procession are in 5 or 6 languages. Very impressive. This is the universality, again, the power of this intercession. There was a particular cure that was put in a little booklet that I picked up when I went to Lourdes. This is just one example. It's the 52nd of those 65 that have been officially recognized. I thought I would just share this one with you to give you a little bit of a feel, to see again the connections, like the ones that have been mentioned here, again, have a root which goes around the world. There was a woman by the name of Jeanne Freitel. She suffered from tuberculosis peritonitis. She was suddenly cured after taking Holy Communion at Lourdes. And this is a different story. Many of the stories come from the water. And the use of the water, there's a lot of people who bathe in some special spots there, pools, for that purpose. But this one was a little different. She was cured simply after taking Holy Communion at Lourdes on October 8th in 1948. It took 2 years before the church finally declared this to be actually a cure that was miraculous. It's one of the unexplained healings known as one of the Eucharistic miracles. Together with Father Roquet, sounds familiar, huh? Almost like a